Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us today. Thank you very much for being here. We are very grateful that you've taken the time to join this conversation and to reflect with us on Veterinarians Without Borders work in South Sudan. Today's session is really intended to be informal and conversational. So rather than a formal presentation, we've designed this as a fireside conversation with my colleague Taban, who will share reflections from South Sudan, including what the realities were when this work began with VWB, what's changed over the course of the program, and why this work continues to matter. A quick note on the format, to keep the session focused, cameras and audio will be on for speakers only. However, we warmly invite everyone to participate through the chat and the Q&A. So please share your questions, comments, or reflections as we go. We will reserve some time towards the end for audience questions, and we will try to get to as many as we can. This conversation is also an opportunity to mark an important moment for Veterinarians Without Borders. The South Sudan program is coming to a close, and we want to honor the work that has been done, the partnerships that have made it possible, and the communities, animal health workers, and local leaders who have carried this work forward. At the same time, this is not only a conversation about the end of a program, it is a conversation about why VWB worked in South Sudan, what access to animal health care means in communities where livestock are central to health and livelihoods, and why reflecting on this work matters now. So with that, I'm very pleased to welcome my colleague Taban Kaps Robert. Thank you so much, Taban, for joining us today and sharing your experience. I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Janine, for having me here. I'm called Taban Kaps Robert. I'm the Program Manager for VWB North America here in South Sudan. Thank you.
Great. Taban, how long have you been with VWB?
I joined VWB in January 2022, and I've been working with the VWB North America since up to March 2026.
Great.
That is close to 4 years, actually 4 years and some few months.
So take us back to when you first started working with VWB. What was, when the work first began, what were the realities on the ground for communities in South Sudan? Why was this work so important?
VWB, actually, let me start with the time VWB started this operation in South Sudan. VWB started its operations in South Sudan in 2013, when South Sudan was barely 2 years old after gaining independence in July 2011. And by that time, the realities on the ground were really very, very stuck, with over 50% of the population facing acute food insecurity, and veterinary services very, very limited at the community level. There was scarcely a network of community animal health workers at the community level. Households were barely protecting their little livelihoods, and women who were at the center of taking care of small ruminants in the communities were not trained and were also not supported. And that created a situation where communities were facing a grim food insecurity, closely countrywide. It was on this context that the program started and set out to strengthen animal health care using the approach of embedding community animal health workers at the community level and organizing One Healthy teams, building community structures. And that was when we were able to see the program turning vulnerability into resilience. So when I joined, we expanded the program to other locations that we did not reach to, and we have been able to reach to a wider population within South Sudan. Thank you.
No, that's great, Taban. I think you've really helped illustrate for those who don't have a familiarity with South Sudan the importance of animals and why they are so central to household survival and community resilience in South Sudan. You've spoken a bit about how the program has kind of progressed. Um, how have you seen over your time with VWB how access to animal health care may have changed for communities? And you talked a bit about community animal health workers.
Thank you for that question. Access to animal health care has transformed significantly over this period, and thanks to our layered approach of strengthening community animal health workers and formalizing One Health teams. We also expanded the community level vaccination campaigns and also strengthened the surveillance systems. At the start of the program, households had little to no access to veterinary services, but as we talk today, community animal health workers are embedded in the communities. They are offering timely vaccination and the treatment of animals, and at the same time, they're also advising farmers on how to take care of the animals. Their reach has surpassed the project targets, with women livestock keepers who are often the primary caretakers of small ruminants benefiting most from our program. We have also integrated animal, human, and environmental activities in our program. And by creating the One Healthy teams, this has created a coordinated response to zoonotic disease risks. And the formal recognition of the community animal health workers has strengthened collaboration and enhanced sustainability, which will go beyond the life of the project. Large-scale livestock vaccinations have reduced disease outbreaks and improved food security, strengthened women's bargaining power in the households by protecting their livestock assets. Community-led reporting and monitoring mechanisms have been established in place, and this feed into the broader local and national interventions, and they build resilience at the grassroots level. Overall, access has shifted from being sporadic, externally driven, to local owned and gender responsive, integrated within the communities, and now they enjoy a consistent veterinary care with the stronger disease prevention and the shaping voice of women in the communities. This has anchored animal health family within the broader One Health framework. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Taban, I am very interested to know your experience with the voice of women. So you've spoken about the voice of women in livestock and community animal health work. Is there more insights you can give us about the voice of women in these roles? And maybe any stories that might capture what this work has kind of meant to some of the women that have engaged with our programs.
Actually, this work at the community level meant really reshaping social dynamics, household decision making, and also building collective resilience. And I'm going to share with you a story of Christine Aloyo, who is one of the program beneficiaries. From the start of the program, she was hesitant to speak in public, and she became a vocal advocate for participating. She became a vocal advocate after participating in gender related training and also animal management. As of now, she is the village livestock group guiding other women on hygiene practices and also livestock management. Her confidence has inspired other younger women in the community to join also in taking care of livestock. And this has been recognized widely by the local leaders, and it has been pinpointed as a bridge between the households and one healthy teams. Her journey has shown that training not only improves animal health, but also elevates women into leadership roles that strengthen community cohesion.
No, that's a fantastic example and story. I think it kind of goes back to your initial comment around why animals are so central to household survival and community resilience. Um, how has some of the restocking or the provision of livestock to some of these communities changed the landscape for some of the communities' resilience and ability to not only feed themselves and the community, but potential economic opportunities?
Actually, women at the community level feel now that they have been given the freedom to make decisions, especially they are able to take care of livestock, and these small ruminants in the communities, they are free to make a decision whether to sell it or not. But some larger animals like cattle, it is usually the men that make the decisions. So with their ability in terms of rearing chicken, rearing goats, and the trainings that they've received, they make meaningful decisions that help beyond just food. It touches areas like health. When a child falls sick in at the household level, they're able to sell one goat or sell a chicken. Then they use the money for taking the child for treatment. Taking children to school, they also sell a goat and they are able to pay school fees. So that kind of freedom in making those kind of decisions has helped so much at the community level, and thanks to the program because it brought that level of freedom for the women.
Yeah, that's real impact when we can see that communities are able to not only look after themselves, but also create economic opportunities for them to further and access health systems and access education. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure, Taban, as you've moved through the program, you've gone to many communities and met many women and families or people in communities who are very reliant on livestock. Are there any specific communities or individuals that have stayed with you as you've progressed through your career and your activities with VWB?
In South Sudan, almost 80% of the population are livestock keepers. So, of course, there are a number of people that I stay with who take care of animals, and they share their experiences, and also I offer them my advice and support. So, the context currently is a little bit very challenging because of now some sporadic internal conflicts that also led to a lot of displacements in the country. And these are some of the ongoing challenges in the country. But the support of the community animal health workers is far reaching in a way that they are always a call away and they're already empowered. They have formed their own associations and they are able to stock the necessary drugs that whenever they're invited by a community member to go and support in treatment of their livestock, they respond with the urgency and with the confidence that they already have based on the training that we have given them.
Yeah, you spoke about conflict and displacement. This is a really important component of a lot of the work you do is being able to build resilience. People moving with their livestock or people having to abandon their livestock. Would you like to comment a bit more about some of the challenges of conflict and displacement in South Sudan?
Um, Actually, when there are conflicts, people always move with their livestock, and that means they will continue requiring the services of the community animal health workers, and these are always a team that can move to any location within the communities, even going to areas where people are displaced. They are very, very mobile, and they have also their equipment that they move with. So it makes it very easy for them to locate people who require their services. The challenge with the conflicts is that the people don't stabilize in their economic activities. Sometimes they become even more intense during seasons of like crop production. When you have already planted your crops to a certain stage, conflict comes in and you are forced to leave your crops in the garden. Sometimes it intensifies to a point that you even leave part of your livestock, and those livestock end up being lost. Others end up being stolen. So those are some of the challenges that the conflict brings into the dynamic.
Mhm. And you've talked a bit about, okay, community animal health workers, a really important role in continuity. So ensuring that no matter where people are, they can still have access to animal health services. Um, but maybe some of the restocking activities that you've been a part of to be able to, for those who have lost their livestock or who have had to relocate, the ability for them to once again have an opportunity to build their economic resilience.
Thank you for that question. Actually, we have done a number of livestock restocking programs where community members who have lost their livestock due to maybe the conflict or due to diseases, we identify them and we provide them with the training on livestock management. Then after that, we give them two female goats and one male one, which they have been able to take care of properly. And with the proper management, we have been getting some impressive results in the community where goats are producing twins. And within a year, you see a household having, from three goats, a household is having eight goats within a short period of time. And now that empowers them economically to be able to pick some goods, take to the market, and use it for solving their household problems. So the program has really, really been very, very impressive, and it enhanced, especially women who were targeted mostly under the project economically and even in terms of the confidence, being able to make decisions at the household level because of what they own.
And our program, is small in South Sudan compared to many other programs that are happening in South Sudan. But I like to believe that we've left uh, something sustainable and some kind of legacy behind of the work that we've done. So as our program is coming to an end, what do you think will continue in these communities?
Over the course of the program, I think we have been able to do some good work, and the communities have been able to gain consistent access to animal health care through the work of the animal health workers. We strengthened the One Healthy teams, and we also expanded the vaccination campaigns and also improved on the locally led surveillance systems. These interventions have built resilience. They have also improved food security and empowered the women to take stronger roles in livestock management and decision making. At the same time, there are still some challenges that remain, and the communities will, especially the community animal health workers, still are under resourced. The formal veterinary services still remain limited, and the households, particularly in the remote areas, continue to face some economic vulnerability and the exposure to shocks. The program has laid a firm and strong foundation, and that is now the communities have the skills that they need. The structures are already in place. The confidence to sustain animal health services remain, and these gains can be reinforced by a little bit of continued investment and partnership. So, from my perspective, I will encourage the government and other funders also to help communities move from this fragile progress to lasting resilience so that they can be able to secure both livelihoods and also One Health outcomes for the future.
Yeah, Taban, you mentioned fragile progress, and I think that's really telling of the situation in South Sudan and all of the challenges that are facing South Sudan. We like to believe that the community animal health workers, whether they are absorbed into a local system and they receive some form of payment, regardless, they will still continue to provide a support system for their communities.
Yeah.
What's been your experience with community animal health workers being absorbed into local governance systems?
In my experience, absorbing community animal health workers to the local government systems means sustainability. It means all the work that we have done will continue to exist in the communities, and the communities will continue to receive veterinary services from the community animal health workers. It means that the community animal health workers will continue to link with the other stakeholders like the veterinary drug stores and pharmacies for continuous access to the drugs that they will need to use for the treatment of animals in the communities. And this approach will build on the work that we have done, and it will be sustainable.
Yeah, you point out the importance of, training alone is not sustainable, but the ability to use a systems approach and have individuals connected to all of the other systems of support is really important for sustainability. What makes you the most proud about your time working with VWB?
Actually, I am mostly proud with the work I have done with the VWB. The network of community animals well health workers that we have established in the communities is a very, very strong one. And each time I go to the community and I see the community animal health workers interacting with the community members, they are serving the community members, they are always available on a call, and they already have the capacity to detect diseases, identify, and also diagnose. This is a lasting legacy in the community that I am so proud of, because when we have these systems established at the community level, we know that we are on the right path as a country.
Yeah. And we are proud of you, Taban. You've been a fantastic colleague, and I know you're just one person representing many of the other VWB staff who've supported our initiatives in South Sudan over many years, that we're very proud to have you as colleagues. Um, and we've talked a lot about the positives. We've talked a lot about the sustainability and the benefits of the work that we've done. And as we acknowledge the progress that we've made, we also know that serious challenges still remain. So as our program comes to a close, maybe we can talk a bit about what some of the challenges that communities are still facing.
Yeah, mainly access to veterinary drugs is one of the challenges, but we are happy that through our creation of this community animal health workers association, where they're saving money and they're using that money to stock their drugs, and they go to the communities to offer their services. That has been a challenge, which the program has so far resolved. But in some areas where we don't have these associations, it is still a challenge. Access to drugs is a challenge. As I mentioned earlier on, conflict is a major factor in our communities. It interferes with the services that we offer in the communities, and also it breaks the bridge of sustainability that we are building. We have some other issues like flooding, which also creates sometimes mass displacements. That is a major challenge. Livestock diseases, especially transbounded livestock diseases, often also creates a very challenging environment, and ensuring that the system of detection and prevention is very, very efficient, is very key. And we already have the basics at the community level. And if these basics are maintained, I think some of these challenges will resolve. But the outreach, as an organization, we have not been able to go to all the locations within the country. The country is very, very wide, and there are some pockets of the country that we have not been able to reach to, and those pockets will continue to face some of these challenges.
Mhm. Yeah, and as you're talking, I'm reflecting, if you were to speak to a potential donor, um, maybe a foundation or a large organization who was looking to do some work in South Sudan, um, what do you think is what is the area that needs the most support, um, and what matters most to the communities that we're supporting?
Thank you. That is a very, very good question, and especially in our context of vulnerability and gender inequality, we would appreciate a program that again will strengthen livelihoods, especially for women, and empower them economically, and with a focus on really ensuring that the women receive livelihood support through provision of livelihood assets like chicken, goats, and then capacity building in terms of training, so that they can be able to use that training to take care of their animals and they move out of poverty. They can be able to be empowered in terms of decision making at the household level, and that will go a long way in building a very resilient and prosperous country. So briefly, that will be the focus for any intervention if I'm to really meet a donor that is willing to support. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really helpful to understand what some of the priorities are. I think some of the challenge with the development context now is everyone is trying really hard to apply a decolonized approach to development. What does that look like in South Sudan?
In South Sudan, currently, the level of fragility makes it a little bit very, very complicated. The government is not in position really to take ownership of some of the projects, and it is making it a little bit very, very difficult to take that direction, which is a decolonized kind of interventions. But we are hopeful that with time, the situation will improve and the country will be able to pick up and lead in solving some of the challenges that the community members are facing.
Thank you, Taban. I think that really kind of helps us move forward in a way that we can support South Sudan in a productive way, but also understand some of the realities that you face on the ground. We're going to move towards the audience questions. There's some questions coming in now. But I just want to ask for one more final reflection from you, Taban. If there's one thing you want people listening today to carry with them, what would it be?
I think personally, I would say that investing in community-driven healthy system is more like investing in dignity, investing in resilience, and also hope for people of South Sudan and even everywhere. That is what I can say briefly.
Thank you so much, Taban. It's a very meaningful reflection, and I think it helps us understand both the practical importance of the work and the human reality behind it. We're now going to move towards the audience questions. We've got a few here. So for those of you who are listening and following along, please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A box. I'll do my best to kind of bring forward a few practical, programmatic, and reflective questions. Taban has also gathered a collection of photos that we've been able to observe while we're having the conversation. So hopefully that helps people visualize the context as well. The first question we have, Taban, is what do you think people outside South Sudan often misunderstand about the realities communities face there?
Okay, thank you. As I said earlier on, South Sudan is a very, very fragile context, and maybe people assume that people are having their normal lives and everything is okay. But the reality is that the communities are having a kind of a complicated mix of challenges, and one of it is the community level conflicts that make it a little bit very difficult for communities to move forward. You try this today, tomorrow people are already in chaos. The government is not in control of some areas because people outside think that the government is in control of the whole country, but the government is not in control of the whole country. Some areas, it is even very difficult to access basic needs, basic services. They are areas that are cut off by flood like 6 months in a year, and in that situation, veterinary services are cut off. You cannot be able to reach those kind of areas. It is still very complicated, especially with the climate change. Communities face a double burden of drought and flood. There are certain seasons where you plant your crops thinking that today these crops will do very well, my animals will be okay. Flood comes in because of the changes of the climate. It has become very unpredictable for the farmers. So, generally, the context is a very difficult one. However, people have maintained and they are a little bit resilient. They're persevering. What is already there on the ground. That's basically how I can answer that question.
And there's another question here, Taban. Was there a moment when you realized this work was truly making a difference in people's daily lives?
Yes, there are moments that when I go to the communities, especially when you see in the communities where children have access to milk as a result of the treatment and vaccination campaigns, when animals are healthy, they are able to produce enough milk, and this milk has been one of the most and easily accessible foods to certain communities, especially livestock keeping communities. And with healthy livestock, healthy herds, they are able to have enough milk to nourish their bodies. So going to the communities and saying this practically really gives meaning to the kind of work that I do. And I really feel a little bit empowered or lucky to be able to contribute to this resilience that the community members are able to experience.
Yeah, thanks, Taban. We have some congratulations here in the questions for the great work and also the sharing of the beautiful pictures that you have. The question is that we're seeing the important role of children also in caring for livestock. And are there any specific school programs that enable children to become good livestock keepers and community animal health workers in the future?
Actually, in our program, we mainly target the adults, but of course, in these communities, children are engaged in taking care of livestock. The training that we give to the adults at the end of the day trickles down to the children. The mothers become the advisors at the household level. The fathers also become advisors. They direct children on what to do, how to clean the houses where livestock are kept, when to give water, and observing if an animal is not maybe feeling very well and they see it lying somewhere, the children can be able to notice and also report to the parents who will take that up and consult with the community animal health workers. So that knowledge sharing is happening at the community level, and it is making it even very easy for parents to go and do other responsibilities while children are taking care of the small ruminants at home.
Thanks, Taban. Yeah, it's an all hands on deck activity at community level. Um, so we're gonna wrap up shortly, but just one last question that's come in the Q&A is, as this chapter closes, and reflecting, on South Sudan and its position at the moment, what gives you hope for the future?
What gives me hope for the future is that slowly people are understanding that peace is very, very important. This country has been in war for a long, long time, and that gives a hope that with stability, this country can become the food basket of the region. With stability, this country can be able to transform each and every one, and the access to animal health services will not be a challenge, and the communities can be able to really build their lives and strive. So we have the hope that stability will be attained with time, but currently, yeah, but we are hopeful that things will change.
Thank you so much, Taban. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insights, your very important reflections with us today. We're very grateful for the work you and the many colleagues, not just VWB, but the many organizations that are working in South Sudan have done, and local organizations that are working with care and commitment. That has gone into supporting so many communities throughout our program and hopefully will continue through others. Thank you as well to everyone who has joined us. Your presence matters. Taking the time to listen and reflect and ask questions helps keep this work visible and helps ensure that the lessons from South Sudan continue to inform how we work in other places. But as we close, I want to acknowledge that the South Sudan program is coming to an end for VWB, and program closure is always a significant moment, but it's also a time to recognize that what has been achieved, to be honest about what challenges remain, and to reflect on what has been built locally. Our work has shown us that access to animal care is not only about treating animals, it's about protecting livelihoods, strengthening food security, supporting families, and helping communities detect and respond to risks before they become larger crises. While this specific program is closing, VWB's commitment to community-based animal health, One Health, and locally led approaches continues through our work around the world. We continue to support communities where animal health is directly connected to human well-being, food security, and resilience. And for those of you who are already supporters, thank you. Your support has made work like this possible. For those who are learning more about VWB, we invite you to stay connected and continue following our work and consider how you might support community-based animal health systems in many of the countries we support around the world. Thank you again for joining us today. We're very grateful for your time and your questions. And more importantly, thank you, Taban. Thank you to all of your fellow colleagues for all of the hard work you've put in over the many years with VWB. And we will continue the work in different ways. Thank you, everyone.